Welcome to episode 330 of the Various and Sundry podcast. I'm your host, Matt Harmon, joined live from the Vault Studio on the beautiful campus of Grace College and Grace Theological Seminary by my good friend, my colleague, my co-host, and the man who survived board meetings last week, John Scott Sloat.
Doc, what's happening?
Well, the end of the school year is what's happening.
Yeah, we're kind of right up against it, aren't we?
This is the last full week of classes.
Really? So what do your classes look? So next week then is finals, correct? Ish.
I mean, we don't have a separate finals week anymore like we used to.
Okay. So what are you teaching classes this week? Is it mostly review? Is it mostly new material? Like what's
this is new material.
Okay.
Both of my classes have big projects due at the end of the term. So the last day of class for both of them should be Tuesday of next week. But I give them the day off because that's also the day when those projects are due. And so inevitably what I've discovered is students start to use a skip or, they're like, I need the time. I can take the hit on the attendance if I need to.
Yeah.
So I just took that away from them.
Wow.
And so now we don't have class. So really, this is the last week for me in terms of teaching.
And then you're grading. Yeah. So and your courses tend to be less right and wrong answers outside of maybe Greek 1 and 2, and more reason this out.
Yes.
Write this paper.
Yep, for sure.
Engage this topic.
Yep. So, yeah. So starting next week will be grading and end of the year meetings. Everybody's got to squeeze in one more meeting. We got to meet before the summer, as well as lots of lunches and dinners and desserts and receptions kind of thing.
Yeah. That's all coming up real soon.
Including our end of the year employee lunch.
Yeah, next
Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah.
That used to be after graduation, and now they moved it up before.
That was smart.
Because people attend.
Yeah. Yeah, you move it after graduation, and people are like, maybe not.
Yeah, I thought it was bold. So he announced that meeting this morning at our all-employee meeting. Mm-hmm. He announced the is it May 6th lunch?
Yeah.
And then announced the meeting in August.
Yeah.
That felt bold to announce the August meeting already.
Well, I hope you have a good time at that August meeting. I will not be attending.
Oh, are you on sabbatical?
I am.
Goodness, how frequently are you getting sabbaticals these days?
7 years.
Is it 7 years?
Like everybody else.
Man, it feels like it's like every 3.
No, it doesn't. Trust me, it does not.
It feels that way to me.
My last one was in 2019.
Goodness, was it that long ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was after our
mystery trip?
After our mystery trip. The Reykjavik, Helsinki, London.
Yeah, that was a good trip.
Yeah.
That was a good trip. What a town, Helsinki.
Great town. I wrote most of my servant book on that sabbatical that fall.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, if you'd like to get in contact with the show and ask me about my sabbatical plans, ask John about board meetings.
Yeah, thrilling.
You can find us on X at VNSPod. You can email the show, variousandsundrypodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook and on YouTube, and we would love for you to leave a 5-star rating on whatever platform you access the show. All right, John, let's talk sports. Start with NFL draft.
Yeah. Congratulations on Arvell Reese not going to the Jets.
Dodged a bullet there. It was close.
Do you feel better about the Giants?
Slightly.
Yeah?
They've at least had some success to get to the playoffs in the last 15 years.
That's true. They have gotten to the playoffs in the last 15 years.
Yes.
Where the Jets have not.
And I can't point to a track record of seeming to ruin Ohio State players. So,
have they had many Ohio State players over the years?
I don't really remember a ton. I mean, right now I think your Jets have Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
Who's really good.
Really, really good.
And they have the tight end Ruckert.
Jeremy Ruckert. Yep.
Who's their second string tight end?
I think third after this draft.
Is he?
Yeah. He's more of a blocking tight end that can occasionally go out for a pass.
Which is strange to some degree because he was a good pass catcher at the college level. So, but anyway, let's talk about your beloved Jets. How do you feel like they did in the draft? Were you good with their pick at number 2 there, and taking David Bailey over Reese?
I think I warmed up to it. I think in the moment I was like, Arvell Reese is supposed to be Michael Parsons.
Yeah.
Eventually, someday. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you get that guy? Well, I think as I dug more into it, he's not that guy yet, right? He could be that guy, or he could be sort of a good linebacker. Like that. Those seem to be the two ends where the guy they drafted had 13, 14 sacks last year.
Okay.
And that feels like a lot of potential immediate impact.
All right.
So there's that. I feel fine about that. We got sort of an athletic freak at tight ends. So we have 2 tight ends that are very good. Okay. And then we got Omar Cooper from Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Who I think is a very good pass catcher.
You mean Indiana?
Indiana, excuse me. What did I say?
Indianapolis.
No, sorry. Indiana, who's a
good wide receiver from Indiana. Yep.
Very good wide receiver. And then Pons from Indiana as well, the cornerback.
Yeah.
And his comp, do you know his comp in the NFL draft? Mm-hmm. Aaron Glenn.
Okay.
Undersized but feisty.
Okay. All right.
And so his comp was Aaron Glenn, and so we have him as well.
Okay.
We got the Clemson quarterback.
Klubniak?
Yeah, something like that. We got a guard from Miami, and we got a safety from somewhere. We came out of there with 7 or 8 players.
All right.
What did you make of Garrett Nussmeier falling as far as he did? I mean, he went 7th round.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously there was some sort of disconnect between what college football analysts believed and what NFL teams actually believed about him. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's always surprising, though. You know, at some point you're surprised that somebody didn't take a chance on him earlier than the 7th round.
Right, because he had a very good, 2024?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Less good 2025, but there were injuries in there.
Sure.
And not catastrophic injuries, but kind of nagging injuries.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, since I don't have a specific NFL team that I root for, my interest is more in where Ohio State players go. And this was an interesting little stat that you may or may not have picked up. So Ohio State had 11 players drafted, which led the way this year again. So 2 years in a row, most players drafted.
Okay.
They tied a record for having 25 players drafted in a 2-year span. Okay. 14 last year, 11 this year. That ties the record for most in a 2-year span.
Who they tied with?
I can't remember if it's LSU or Alabama.
Okay. But an SEC school.
Yes. Even more remarkable, this year they had 4 of the top 11 picks.
I know we talked about 4 top 10 picks.
They missed it by 1.
Who went 11?
Caleb Downs went 11.
Caleb Downs
went
11. Okay.
There's only been one team in the history of only one college that in the history of the draft produced 4 top 10 players in the same draft. You're not going to get it.
Oh. How long ago?
1967.
Ooh. Because my first thought was the U. That was one of my first thoughts.
That's well before the U was in its heyday.
67. Is there something kooky like Yale or something like that?
It's a Big Ten school.
It's a Big Ten school. Well, I mean, I know Indiana hasn't won anything until this year since World War II, so that takes them out. I assume it's not Ohio State. Otherwise, you'd say Ohio State.
Correct.
It's not Michigan.
Nope.
Okay. Penn State?
They weren't in the Big Ten at that point, but no, it wasn't Penn State.
No, they weren't. Okay. Current Big Ten team or Big Ten team back then?
Both.
Well, that narrows it down pretty significantly.
Cuts it in half. I mean, back when the Big Ten actually was 10 teams.
Wisconsin?
No. Michigan State.
Michigan? Wow. Yeah, I was never going to get that.
Michigan State. Yep.
Known football powerhouse.
Yeah. So we'll see how they turn out. I really like Sonny Styles going to Washington. I think that's a good place for him. I am curious. I was surprised that Carnell Tate went number 4 overall.
To Tennessee, right?
I know they needed a wide receiver, but still.
It feels like a big play.
Well, here's what's hilarious to me is you have people who are trashing the pick because, well, he wasn't even the best wide receiver on his team in college. Okay. Neither was Emeka Egbuka. He's turned out pretty good in the NFL. And, the guy who was better than him would have been the number 1 pick overall this year if he could come out in Jeremiah Smith.
Who was it? Because what is he, a sophomore?
Yeah. So before we get all worked up on not even the best receiver on his own college team. Okay. Neither was Justin Jefferson at LSU. He was with Jamar Chase. He's been pretty good in the NFL too.
He has been very good.
So anyway. Anything else NFL draft related?
I mean, Garrett Nussmeier I wanted to mention. The Titans have the old Jets coach.
Yes.
Robert Saleh.
Yes.
And so drafting a player like that sort of, that brought back memories.
Yeah. I mean, we probably should give a shout out to one of our listeners who emailed us the moment the Jets
didn't take Arvell Reese. Yes.
This board member immediately reached out to us via email.
Yes.
Asking if I was relieved that that the Jets would not ruin another Buckeye. And I explained to this person, yes.
Don't worry, we'll find a way. We'll ruin other Buckeyes. There's plenty of time.
There's plenty to go around. There's plenty of Buckeyes to ruin. Yeah.
They had 25 in the last 2 years.
That's right. Yeah, you find one to ruin somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
NBA playoffs. Knicks
2-2.
2-2 with the Hawks.
Yeah, it got chippy in the last game. You're kind of at the point this year. 4 games in, things start to get a little physical.
Yeah.
A little chippy. So, they're back at Madison Square Garden tonight, I believe.
Meaning Monday night?
Monday night. Yeah, I'll double check that. But
yeah. All right. And
nope. Tomorrow night.
Okay, so the night this episode drops, Tuesday night.
Yep, Tuesday night.
Okay. I feel like a good number of the games just aren't that competitive. You have an occasional one, but the Rockets-Lakers game on Saturday was pretty significant in that the Lakers were down 6 with under 30 seconds to go and came back to force overtime and win it. Of course, it required the Rockets committing 2 terrible turnovers to give the game back to them. But I will say, for whatever people think of LeBron, I think the fact that the fact that they are playing without their top 2 scorers in Luka and Austin Reeves, and they're still in control of that series as comfortably as they are, is an impressive nod to LeBron at this point.
Yeah, they're up 3-1.
Yeah.
Lakers are up 3-1. I mean, most of the only really close series is Cavs-Raptors is 2-2. But Knicks-Hawks is 2-2. Everything else is 3-0 or 3-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've been thrilled. Most of the Knicks games have been on Peacock, so I've been able to
there you go.
to tune in. It's been nice.
There you go. All right. Anything else? Oh, we got to talk about the Mets. The last time we talked, the Mets had lost 11 straight. Have they won a game since then?
So they lost 12 straight.
Okay.
They won 2. and then lost 3 in a row.
Okay.
So to one of the lowest payroll teams in baseball.
And so when are the Mets going to fire their manager?
That's people on Twitter basically saying the time was 3 games ago. So that's sort of the vibe. The time is now.
And do you approve? Would you approve of that?
I approve of something. Right? Baseball is a game of patience.
Yeah.
I can understand that, but something's off. Something's wrong.
Well, as we mentioned last week, if the issue is somebody is sleeping with somebody else's girlfriend, wife, whatever, changing the manager isn't going to fix that.
No.
So if there is some sort of interpersonal issue behind the scenes that and maybe Mets management knows that and firing the manager isn't going to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, firing the manager wins you the headlines for about 5 days if that's the case.
Yeah. Until the next
until the next skid.
Right.
And I mean, maybe they win a couple of games after you fire the manager. That's typical.
Yeah.
Did you see the Boston Red Sox fired their manager after they scored 15 or 16, 17 runs in a game?
No.
Yeah, they scored a whole bunch of runs and they turned around and fired their manager.
Okay. Yeah, that's one way to do it. One way to do it. So, anything else in the world of sports?
I don't think so.
All right. Yeah, NFL draft kind of consumed the oxygen for the weekend.
Yeah, NHL playoffs are going on, but I don't even know who's in there.
Yeah.
I know Buffalo's in there because that they were the longest team to not be in the playoffs, and then now it's the Jets.
It's since what, 2010, 11 that the Jets have not made the playoffs?
Yeah, and they were at the AFC Championship game that year.
Yes.
Under Rex Ryan.
And Mark Sanchez is quarterback, yes?
Mark Sanchez is quarterback, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're sort of getting in territory where, a member of that team's son could be drafted in the next few years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Borderline.
I mean, that was 16 years ago now.
Yes.
Let's say that kid was 5.
Yeah.
He could be coming up to, which would be something, if he was drafted by the Jets.
That would be. What an organization. What an organization. If they made Seinfeld today, George Costanza would work for the Jets.
Absolutely, he would.
It wouldn't be the Yankees. He'd work for the Jets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's probably true.
And there'd be some great storylines that came out of that.
Uh-huh.
Like he's out there coaching the wide receivers on how to get in and out of their breaks. He's coaching the DBs on how to do press coverage,
Yeah. Kickers on how to get the proper leverage.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of that.
Quarterback footwork.
Yes. Booking them in some, 3-star hotel outside of Jacksonville, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Endless storyline possibilities with that right there.
Yeah. I could see Garrett Wilson doing well in a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
Who would be the Keith Hernandez of?
Man, I don't know. Of the Jets?
Would it be now this is going back a little bit. He's not on the team anymore, but like a Josh McCown? Who's helping Jerry move?
Fair question.
Or who's asking Jerry to help him move?
There you go. Man, I don't know. It would have to be somebody on the Giants.
Oh, that's right.
Because Hernandez obviously was on the Mets.
Yeah. So it'd have to be somebody on the Giants.
And so, I'd have some of the Giants.
It'd be Eli. It'd be Eli Manning, wouldn't it? It'd be Eli Manning.
Yes. Obviously. Yeah, totally. And you could bring in Peyton as another.
He'd be great.
Oh man, yeah.
That'd be great.
That'd be gold.
My God, why don't
gold, Jerry? Gold.
We need to pitch NBC.
Totally. All right, John. Time to move on to our main topic. More minor profits. You thought we were out of minor profits? Oh no,
there's still more.
We've still got more. We've got this week and next week. This week we're doing Malachi. Or Malachi, the Italian prophet.
That is a joke that is from an era of America that I don't think exists anymore.
Probably not.
Right? I mean, that's very 1970s, 1980s.
Yeah.
Malachi, the great Italian prophet.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I don't think that's a modern joke. Because I was thinking about Malachi this morning, and I remember a seminary professor of mine, who was not you, although you were a seminary professor of mine, making that joke. And I remember going, that feels like it's from 1980s East Coast America.
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, maybe that joke has aged to such a degree that it's in the dad joke realm.
That's probably fair.
So kind of lives in that dad joke realm.
Yeah.
But a shorter one. Only 4 chapters.
4 chapters.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk a little about
and the last book of the Old Testament in our English translations.
Yeah, that's right.
But not the last one of the Hebrew order, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Is he the last minor prophet, or is there?
He's always the last minor prophet, I think.
Okay, so this is the last minor prophet.
In terms of order, yes. We still haven't done Joel. We'll do him next week.
Okay.
But all right, so yeah, I mean, when you look at good old Malachi here,
Malachi.
You know, when you open up to Malachi 1, which is easy to find because you just find Matthew and go backwards. But in terms of the introduction of who he is, it's pretty brief. Why don't you read verse 1 there, John?
Yeah, I'm on it. I'll do the yeoman's work here. The oracle of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi.
Yep, that's it.
It's a good introduction. Simple man.
Yes. And there's no son of this, son of that, no in the days of King so-and-so and so-and-so. It's just Malachi. Which, by the way, that name means my messenger, which has actually led some people to think
that's not really his
name. It's just sort of
the title,
a cipher. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
In any case, especially in light of the importance of the messenger theme that shows up later in the book, but we don't know. Obviously, based on that, we don't know much of anything about Malachi the man. The book itself has a pretty significant emphasis on the priestly area, sacrifices, and what the priests do and that kind of thing, which would suggest that perhaps he was from a priestly background or had access to those sort of circles. But another sort of mystery is the date. Again, no kings given, which makes sense because it's a post-exilic book. We're confident about that. But it's striking that Malachi is not mentioned by either Ezra or Nehemiah or Haggai and Zechariah. None of them mention Malachi. And so clearly the temple is back up and operating because they're talking about different types of sacrifices being made. And really the time frame is either between the ministries of Ezra and Nehemiah, which would put it somewhere in the first half of the 5th century, or after Nehemiah's time, which would put it towards the end of the 5th century. I think I've always thought of Malachi as probably the last of the Old Testament prophets, and perhaps around 400 BC, right around there, which may have been one of the reasons why he was placed last in the ordering of the minor prophets.
Interesting.
So, a few things to kind of clear out of the way here. There seems to be, you've got people of his day questioning Yahweh's love for them, dishonoring God with blemished sacrifices, not giving, and even claiming serving Yahweh is vain. In other words, there's no point to it. So it doesn't seem like idolatry is the issue in the classic sense of like, let's worship other gods.
It's almost like selfishness and laziness.
Yeah, it's apathy and really just apathy,
half-heartedness.
Yeah. We're back in the land, but this is clearly not all that we had hoped it would be.
I'll do what I have to do. I'm not going to do it with any particular excellence or rigor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So typically this book is structured around a series of disputations, basically where the Lord says, in a precursor to the great holiday Festivus, it's an airing of grievances.
Yeah.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
Is there a feats of strength part of the book as well?
Well, sort of. Yes, this is a Seinfeldian read of Malachi.
Yeah. This is a Seinfeld episode. We've spent.
Yeah. So, but basically, you've got really 6 so-called disputations there, where God rebukes the people for different things, whether it's them doubting his love, priests offering blemished sacrifices, the people being unfaithful in marriage, and also talking about the future arrival of his messenger, which we'll talk about more in just a moment. But okay, let's go to the messenger thing. So we'll talk about potentially some familiar passages, right? So John, let's go ahead and have you read chapter 3 and go through chapter 3, verse 1 through verse 4.
Okay. Malachi 3, 1-4. Behold. Sorry, I got an update on my phone that's blocking the text all of a sudden. I said behold, and then I thought
it was a strategic pause.
Yeah, I was really emphasizing that comma.
Build anticipation. What am I supposed to behold?
Behold, I send my messenger, and he will prepare the way before me. And the Lord whom you seek will suddenly come to his temple, and the messenger of the covenant in whom you delight. Behold, he is coming, says the Lord of hosts. But who can endure the day of his coming, and who can stand when he appears? For he is like a refiner's fire and like fuller's soap. He will sit as a refiner and a purifier of silver, and he will purify the sons of Levi and refine them like gold and silver, and they will bring offerings in righteousness to the Lord. Then the offering of Judah and Jerusalem will be pleasing to the Lord as in the days of old and as in former years.
Okay. Any ideas where that's picked up in the New Testament there, John? Verse 1 in particular.
Well, I mean, it's hard not to hear John the Baptist a little bit in there, right? Prepare the way before me.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
You did, in Mark 1.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
So in Mark 1, Mark quotes Malachi 3:1, this language of the messenger, and he quotes it in conjunction with Isaiah 40, verse 3.
Which that gets the headlines really in Mark chapter 1.
Well, Mark introduces it as the prophet Isaiah said, and then he throws in the Malachi quote to lead into the Isaiah quote. But I think Malachi is already alluding back to Isaiah himself.
Oh, really?
So that when Malachi says, I send my messenger and he will prepare the way before me, and it's Yahweh speaking, I think he already has Isaiah 40 verse 3 in mind of this messenger in Isaiah 40 saying, prepare the way of the Lord. I think he's already alluding to that. And, believe it or not, both of them together are picking up language from Exodus, chapter 23, verse 20, where Yahweh promises to send his messenger/angel basically before the Israelites as they go into the Promised Land. And what you have to remember is in Hebrew, as well as in Greek, but in Hebrew, the word in view there can be understood as either messenger or angel. So it can refer to a spiritual being, or it can refer to just a sort of normal human messenger.
So please correct me if I'm wrong.
I will.
But the word way, like the path, the way, the road, also appears in Exodus?
Yes.
Also appears in that Isaiah 40, appears here, Mark chapter 1, and kind of sprinkled throughout Luke's Gospel and Acts as well.
Yes.
Because if memory serves, and that they talk about the Christian movement as the way, in Acts particularly. They talk about it as members of the way or people of the way. And so we sort of see this, to borrow a famous phrase, an echo of Scripture, sort of reverberating throughout various books and narrative. And
so that term became one of the ways that the early Christians were referred to as the way. And it's basically a reflection of their belief that Jesus had accomplished the new Exodus, that through his death and resurrection, he had accomplished what the prophets had promised would be a new Exodus, that the redemption that was in the future would be an Exodus only greater. And that's what Jesus accomplished. And so that's how both Mark and Luke use that theme to kind of frame their gospel accounts. Both sharing a lot of overlap, but also each kind of doing a little bit of their own thing in terms of that. So, but it's just interesting that that the New Testament authors picked that up. One other text that I want to highlight in terms of something to note, we'll have you read the last 3 verses of Malachi. So Malachi 4, 5, and 6. Please.
Okay. Last 3 or last 2?
4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6.
Yep.
Remember the law of my servant Moses, the statutes and rules that I commanded him at Horeb for all of Israel. Behold, I will send you Elijah, the prophet, before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes. And he will turn the hearts of fathers to their children and the hearts of children to their fathers, lest I come and strike the land with a decree of utter destruction.
Okay.
Kind of an ominous ending there.
Yeah. The decree of utter destruction, that's the Hebrew term cherem, which was the term used when God would say to devote something to destruction, like a city or something where he would say, you can't take anything. It's to be utterly destroyed, and it's to be devoted to destruction. Like that's a way of offering it to the Lord, is by utterly destroying it. So I'll ask you another time here, John. Where do these verses get picked up in the New Testament?
Well, I mean, I'm struck by, and maybe this is what you're talking about, but maybe it's not. And, we could edit this out in post-production since we totally do that.
We'll get our whole team on that one.
Yeah. Moses and Elijah being together always makes me think of the Transfiguration.
Yes.
I don't know if that's what you're digging at. But,
well, there are multiple ones. So, yes, that's one of them. Yeah, for sure.
So that's definitely the one that sticks out the most to me.
Yeah. This is the only place where they are mentioned together, essentially. I mean, you do have Elijah when he's on the run, showing up at Mount Sinai like Moses was, and but
there's some allusion between them. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. But here you have them mentioned together, and they show up at the Transfiguration account for sure, which is a fascinating passage on its own terms.
Yeah, we should have an author on who wrote a book about that or something.
I believe we did.
We did, yeah. We absolutely did.
I mean, the other thing that gets picked up here is this is really where the expectation of an Elijah figure comes from. If you remember, Elijah did not die. He was taken up alive into heaven. And so the New Testament makes it clear that people were expecting Elijah to return.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things they asked John the Baptist, are you Elijah? And what's interesting is he says no. But he says no because they meant the question literally, when in fact he was Elijah in terms of a typological fulfillment. Meaning he was the Elijah figure sent before the day of the Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark 1, he's described as wearing clothing like Elijah and having a diet that's similar to Elijah. And then even after the Transfiguration account, actually before that, when Jesus asked his disciples, who do people say that I am? One of the answers is, people think you're Elijah. That you're Elijah who's come back. And then after the Transfiguration account, the three disciples on the way down the mountain, they asked Jesus, why did the scribes say that Elijah has to come first? And Jesus says, he has come first, and he was John. Like you're understanding it too literally here, boys. Like it's understood as a type, antitype sort of thing, not a actual the same human being Elijah coming back. And then you think about on the cross when Jesus cries out, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani, the first line of Psalm 22 in Aramaic.
Yeah.
The crowd around him thinks, maybe Elijah's coming for him. And so again, that this Elijah thing gets picked up in the New Testament. So several places where you get that picked up. To boil down Elijah kind of into Malachi into one kind of takeaway, here's how I do it. God calls his people to repent of our apathy towards his proper worship and fear his name in anticipation of the great and fearful day of the Lord. So that's how I would encapsulate the message of Malachi.
Malachi.
There you go. The Italian prophet.
Yeah, yeah. I had a panic moment when we started talking about that. Like, oh my goodness, did I miss somewhere that he came from a boot-shaped country in the north, or something like that? But no,
yes.
we're fine.
A Gentile prophet, yeah, for sure. All right, you ready to move on, John?
Sure am.
Time now for This Day in Sports History.
All right, This Day in Sports History, April the 28th, 2026, right at the end of the month here.
Yep.
Third of the way through the 2026 year.
Yeah.
Not wild? Anyway, 1921, Cuban Jose Raul Capablanca becomes the world's third chess champion, defeating German champion Emanuel Lasker in Havana.
Yeah.
Can we trust anything that happens in Havana?
Pre-Castro?
Pre-Castro? I suppose so. 1981, Milwaukee Braves future Hall of Fame pitcher Warren Spahn throws his second career no-hitter at 41, beats the Giants 1-0 at County Stadium.
That's old. I wonder how old Nolan Ryan. I think Nolan Ryan had at least one when he was over 40.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I feel
definitely a middle-aged individual. 41. Didn't we say over 40? Isn't that
minimum? That's sort of a minimum.
Well, he's one above that.
Okay.
He was one above that in 1981.
Early middle age.
All right. 1987 NFL Draft, University of Miami quarterback Vinny Testaverde, first pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Speaking of Italians.
Yeah. Really, Vinny Testaverde, Italian. You don't say.
I know. This has been a very international list so far. I mean, we have Malachi, the Italian prophet. We have the Cuban chess player beating a German chess player. I mean, you've got the Italian being drafted number 1.
All right, here's a good American. 2003, Andre Agassi.
far as we know, yeah.
Well, he's certainly. I believe he is American.
I just don't know his ethnicity, but yeah.
Italian, right? It's definitely Italian.
Agassi? Probably.
I would assume so. Rick captures the world #1 ranking to become the oldest top-ranked male tennis player in the history of the tennis rankings at 33 years old and 13 days.
Yeah, men do. I wonder if that's surely been surpassed by now with Federer.
Yeah, I would think so.
But it is interesting how in men's tennis, the peak window is much later than in women's tennis.
You get the 16, 17-year-old sometime in female tennis.
It feels like in women's tennis, the sweet spot is like 17 through like 24.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And then in men's tennis, it's like 25 to 30 is kind of like the I think
that's right. There. All right, 2018, Shaquem Griffin is the first one-handed person to be drafted in the NFL, selected by the Seahawks. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He played, was it linebacker or
safety? One of the two.
Which you would think
it'd
be really hard to tackle people.
I think he was a pretty good tackler, though.
I mean, did he have part of his arm below his elbow?
He might.
So I think maybe he just didn't have his hand.
I remember this story, but I don't remember the particulars.
I'll get our crack research team on it.
All right. U.S. Dr. Google. 2019, American diver Victor Vescovo makes the deepest dive ever to the bottom of the Mariana Trench at 10,927 meters. And for our American listeners, that's 35,849 feet. And finds a plastic bag. That's in the notes, that he finds a plastic bag down there.
Didn't even notice that. And finds a plastic bag. Nice subtle little dig at our environmental issues.
Yeah. You have a website you go to for these, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Copy and paste right in.
Interesting.
I sort through. Like, there's dozens of them that I sort through, but yes.
And finds a plastic bag.
And finds the plastic bag. Update from our crack research team. Shaquem Griffin does have his forearm. So it's just
he's missing a hand. How many years did he play?
Let's see.
Did he get to 3? That's the big one. If you get to 3, I think you get health care for like most of the rest of your life.
Let's see here. I will look. He played... I don't need his early life as impressive as he is. Let's see. He played for the Seahawks. Looks like and then played for he retired in 2022. So he started in 2018. So he's right on that 3-year. I think he played just that 3 years. 2 years for the Seahawks. Looks like maybe 3 years for the Seahawks. And then 1 for the Dolphins.
All right.
Okay. So who do you like?
My goodness.
Would Vescovo also be Italian?
I'd assume so.
It's been a very Italian-heavy episode.
Yeah, it feels like we got to pick an Italian.
Well, that would rule out Shaquem Griffin.
No, it would. You're right.
Who do you like?
Let's go Vinny Testaverde.
Yeah?
I like Vinny.
He had a hot minute in New York there, right?
Oh,
Played for 2 years for the Jets?
At least 2 years. Was replaced eventually by Chad Pennington.
Okay.
Yeah, Vinny the magician on the field is what they called him.
There you go.
Was going to captain the 1998 New York Jets team to a Super Bowl before having a devastating injury.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Okay, Vinny Testaverde it is. One thing you liked?
I got a new board game called Sky Team that Andrea and I have been playing. It's a 2-player cooperative game.
All right.
And basically, you have dice that you roll, and then you place them in certain – and the premise of the game is you're coming in for a landing with a commercial airliner. And you have to make sure the plane is level.
Okay.
You have to make sure the engines are in the correct thrust position.
Okay.
And you have to make sure all the planes are out of your way by communicating with the tower.
I see.
And you get 4 moves around. There's 7 rounds, and you roll dice, and you got to balance everything and get everything done. You got to get the wheels down. You got to get the flaps up, all those things. And when you lose, you're just like,
oh, everybody died.
I just killed hundreds of people. But it's a fun game, and we're on the easiest setting right now. And it's we failed a couple times over the weekend, and we did land a couple at what's the easy airport? Montreal Trudeau Airport is the easy setting.
I see.
As you can imagine, Chicago ORD is hard. Atlanta is difficult.
Do they have San Francisco?
I don't think they have San Francisco on there.
It's more like right on the water.
It's like more international.
Okay.
It's more international. So Reykjavik's on there.
Hey, all right.
There's a few others. Yeah. But some of them are just really quite nasty.
Okay. All right. Speaking of board games, have you ever played Azul?
Maybe.
Okay. Kate and I could play that with you and Andrea when you join us for dinner sometime here.
Would love it.
All right. I am going to go with man. I had a hard time on this one, and actually I'm going to change my mind even in a moment. So over the weekend, good friend of ours came in and retiled our bathroom.
Oh, nice. Master bathroom?
No.
Hall?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Very nice.
There was linoleum in there. There's like in our entire house. We've lived in that house 20 years. There are only 2 floors that we've not replaced. The laundry room and the bathroom downstairs in the basement.
Yeah.
Both of those have linoleum, which is a little surprising given the quality of the house. You don't necessarily expect linoleum in the floors in there. But yep, shout out to Gabe for doing that for us. And yeah, I mean, he was the one, along with you and me, that redid our kitchen.
The kitchen floor, yeah.
And, it had been 6 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that.
I just remember, yeah, I was married, recently married. So
it was 2020.
Probably fall 2020.
Summer,
yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember, I think we were there like 2 a.m. for like a long weekend.
Yes, thankfully this was not as much of a late night thing, so grateful for that. And that is our one thing we liked. All right, John, we have talked some NFL draft. We have talked Malachi, the Italian prophet. We have talked about another Italian, Vinny Testaverde, who was selected out of a group of other Italians for that honor. We have talked about, what was the name of the game again?
Sky Team.
Sky Team. Okay. And we have talked about the bathroom tiling project. And so I think by definition, we have covered our various and sundry topics. And so all that's left to say is, until next time, the Lord bless y'all real good.
Later.